The dress didn't tear, it was ripped, loud and violent, as if her dignity meant nothing. Samantha stood exposed, arms restrained, eyes wide with disbelief as a crowd formed, phones raised, voices gasping. She wasn't resisting. She wasn't armed. And yet, she was treated like a threat. In that moment, every second felt like a spotlight on injustice. What could turn a quiet grocery run into national outrage? What made a single phone call shake an entire precinct? This is the story they tried to silence. Welcome, story lovers. Comment your city if you're watching. Samantha Green wasn't famous. She didn't want to be. A 34-year-old single mother and assistant nurse. She lived quietly on the south side of town, juggling hospital shifts, school pickups, and overdue bills. Her life was about routine, resilience, and getting by. Sundays were her favorite: church in the morning, groceries in the afternoon, and maybe a coffee alone before heading home. That Sunday felt no different. The summer sun was gentle. Her dress, a modest sky blue cotton, fluttered lightly in the breeze as she stepped out of the store, bags in hand. But just across the parking lot, an idle police cruiser wasn't so idle anymore. Its engine revved. A voice barked through the loudspeaker. She turned, confused. Why her? What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that this routine day, in this routine life, was seconds away from spiraling into a national outrage. Samantha barely had time to process the command before two officers stormed toward her. One yelled for her to drop her bags. The other reached for his cuffs. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Do I look like a threat?" But their eyes had already answered. No explanation. No rights read. Just hands rough and invasive, grabbing her by the arms, forcing her against the hood of the cruiser. Her groceries scattered across the asphalt. She cried out as the fabric of her dress caught on the car's emblem and tore across the back. Her modesty shredded in public view. Onlookers pulled out phones. Gasps filled the air. "You fit the description," one muttered. As if that excused everything, Samantha begged for clarity, but humiliation drowned out reason. She was shoved into the back seat, dress half-hanging, skin exposed, dignity shattered. Her phone, thankfully still in her purse, buzzed with a call. Her sister. She answered in sobs. "Call Marla," she whispered. "Tell her they got me." Marla Brooks wasn't just family. She was fire in a courtroom, one of the city's top civil rights attorneys. And when she got the message, she didn't hesitate. Within 30 minutes, she was on the phone with precinct brass, reporters, and 2 council members. But Samantha, sitting cold in a holding cell, still didn't know the video of her arrest had already gone viral, nor could she imagine the storm it was about to unleash. The cell door clanged open. Samantha looked up, her face swollen from tears, her body wrapped in a thin blanket to cover what the officers had exposed. A lieutenant walked in, face pale, phone in hand, voice shaking. "You need to come with me," he said. But this wasn't mercy. It was panic. Outside, protesters had begun gathering. The footage, raw, unfiltered, and horrifying, was everywhere. Major news outlets, hashtags, trending, civil rights leaders, en route. Marla had filed an emergency motion and called for the suspension of every officer involved. But what broke the dam? A second video showing an officer mocking Samantha after her arrest, laughing, holding up the ripped fabric like a trophy. In that moment, the system cracked. Dear audience, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to give it a like. It really helps. Samantha was released hours later. No charges, no apology, just silence. But the silence didn't last. Public outrage exploded. The officers were placed on leave, the police chief resigned, and internal investigations swept through the department. Samantha, though, would never be the same. Her sense of safety ripped away like the dress she once wore. But through the pain, she found purpose. She stood before cameras, lawmakers, and grieving families, no longer invisible. Her story became a rallying cry, not just for justice, but for change. Because this wasn't just about Samantha, it was about every black woman whose dignity was stolen, whose voice was ignored, whose pain was dismissed. The real question is, how many more Samanthas will it take before this finally stops? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and new videos.